Okay, hi y'all. Today I am administering the Boston Diagnostic Aphasia Examination, third edition. Yes.
Oh, never mind.
So this test has 5 different subtests and then a whole bunch of subtests within the subtest. So we're gonna get started by going through the first part, which is the conversational and expository speech. This one is called simple social responses for the first subtest. So Ruth, as my client here, I'm going to start by asking you, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good. Have you ever been here before?
No.
Have I ever tested you before?
No.
Okay. Do you think that we can help you out or have helped you out?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that you can make any more progress?
Hopefully.
Okay. The next one is going to be free conversation. What kind of work were you doing before you became ill?
Copywriting.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna look at this picture here. And I just want you to tell me everything that you see in this picture.
Kids.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about what the kids are doing?
Trying to eat.
Okay, good. Anything else that you notice in the picture?
There's a mom washing dishes.
Good, perfect. Okay, the next subtest is called narrative discourse. This is where we use the Aesop's fables, where the scoring is just going to be based on the types of utterances that we get as a result of this test. So I'm going to show you some cartoon strips, and they tell each one tells a different story. So first, I will tell you the story myself. And then I'm gonna let you tell the story back to me using your own words and using these same pictures to help you out. Do this first one. This is called The Fox and the Crow.
The fox was walking in the woods when he saw a crow on a branch, holding a piece of meat. He thought, I can get that piece of meat. Oh, crow, you are as handsome as a king. The crow did not open his mouth. The fox tried again. Oh, crow, you would really be the king if you could only sing. The crow began to sing to show off his voice, and the meat fell. The fox caught the meat and laughed while the crow was angry at being tricked.
So now you'll just tell the same story back to me using your own words and looking at these pictures. Yep.
The fox wanted the meat the crow had. The fox tried to trick the crow by telling him nice things.
Okay, so this next portion is the auditory comprehension subtest. This is part A, word comprehension, basic word discrimination. So I'm just going to show you some pictures, and you're going to point to the one that I say. Can you tell me which one is the candle? Good. Can you show me which one is the bear? Good. So in this, if the client responds with the correct object within 5 seconds of when it was asked, they receive a full point. If the response happens anytime after 5 seconds, they receive half a point, and anytime further, or if no response, they receive 0 for that point. The next auditory comprehension subtest called word comprehension by categories, where all 4 of these pictures are going to be shown, and you're just going to point to the word that I say. Can you point to the spoon? Good. Okay, the next one we're doing for auditory comprehension is going to be called commands. For this, I'm just going to have you carry out the following commands that I say. 1 point of credit is given for each one that we go through, and repetition is permitted based on if the client requests for the examiner to repeat what was said before. So first thing, I'm gonna have you make a fist. Good. Now point to the ceiling and then to the floor. Good. Okay, for the next auditory comprehension subtest, it's called complex ideational material. So for this, you're going to ask a series of paired questions. So each pair of questions has one yes response and one no response. So to demonstrate, the first question, will a cork sink in water?
No.
Can you use a hammer to pound nails?
Yes.
Will a stone sink in water?
Yes.
Is a hammer good for cutting wood?
No.
Good. So she answered all of those correctly. So we would continue. Had she answered them incorrectly or continued on answering incorrectly for the pairs for a series of 4 times, we would discontinue that subtest. So now we are on to part 3 of the test called oral expression. The first subtest under oral expression is oral agility. So we're going to have the patient carry out the following rapidly repeated mouth movements. The clinician will be timing for 5 seconds or counting to 5 and seeing how many times the actions are occurring within those 5 seconds. So the first one I'm going to have you do is purse your lips and release. And you're going to do this as many times as you can while I'm counting to 5. Ready? Go. Okay, good. Next, I'm gonna have you open and close your mouth as fast as you can. Ready? Go. Good, okay. So the way that the points work for this is, if the client, purse her lips and release them 4 to 7 times within the 5-second period, they get a full point. If they did it 8 or more times, they get 2 points. For the opening and closing mouth, if they did it from anywhere from 6 to 9 times, they get 1 point, but if they did it more than 10 times, they get 2 points. The subtest under the previous subtest, this one is for verbal agility. It's going to be the same thing. So instead of rapidly repeating mouth movements, it's going to be rapidly repeated words. So we're going to demonstrate this all within 5 seconds. You're going to repeat the word mama as many times as you can, and I'll tell you when to stop. Ready, set, go.
Mama, 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 mama,
Good.
mama.
Okay, perfect. So for that, she would have received 2 points because she said it 9 times, more than 9 times within 5 seconds. Okay, the next subtest under oral expression is automatized sequences. This one, you're gonna have the patient recite following or a certain amount of series, and you can give assistance with the first word of the series if necessary. So it could be like months of the year, counting to 21, the alphabet starting with A, days of the week starting with whatever you can pick. They just need to say a certain number of the sequence in a row in order for them to get 1 point. And then if they say all of them, they get like all of the words in the sequence, they would receive 2 points. So let's do an example. We're gonna do the days of the week, starting with Sunday, whenever you're ready.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, perfect. So for that example, she would only receive 1 point for that because she had gotten 4 in a row, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But had she had said the last 2 of the sequence as well, she would have received 2 points. Okay, the next subtest is repetition. This is going to be with single words. Okay, you are just going to now say these words after me. Brown.
Brown.
Chair.
Chair.
What?
What?
Good. So credit is received if the words are spoken intelligibly. And then a check mark in the column next to the word will be given if there is an articulation impairment, and then the corresponding error code, which is listed in the manual. Now we're doing a repetition of sentences. So I'm just going to have you repeat these sentences after me, okay? It's 6 o'clock.
It's 6 o'clock.
Father comes home.
Father comes here.
Good. Okay, so for that, for the first one, she would have received credit because there were, all the words that I had said were repeated, and no extraneous words are given. In the second one, credit would not have been given because she changed one of the words. The next one is gonna be under the subtest naming, specifically responsive naming. This is where you're gonna have the patient supply a one-word response required by the stimulus questions that are given. And, all right, let's begin. So you're just gonna respond to these questions with one word. We'll start with the first question. What do we tell time with?
I watch,
Good. What do you do with a razor?
shave,
Good. So in that time, the clinician will be counting in their head how long it is taking the client to respond. If they have an appropriate response, they will receive 2 points for responding within 1 to 5 seconds of when the question was asked. If they take longer than 5 seconds to respond, they receive 1 point. And if they don't respond, they would receive no points for that. Okay, this is now the reading portion of the test. This subtest is called basic symbol recognition. So the client is going to be shown a page that looks like this. Basically, they're going to go off of the top letter or word that's said, and their job is just to go one by one and match the letter or word at the top to one of these in this script. So this first one is what letter? Good. So she matched G in bold to the G that's not in bold. Okay, this one is going to be number matching. So we've got this page of numbers. We're also going to just take it line by line, starting at the top. You're going to see the number that I'm holding and then try to find that number here on this top row, okay? Good. She got the top one right. I held up 5 fingers. She pointed to number 5. For the next one, I held up 4 fingers and she pointed to number 1. So she would have received credit for the first one. You would have just circled on the manual what one they selected instead. So for 4, you would not give a check mark, but you would circle number 1 so that they, so it shows which one they did pick. Okay. For this next one, it's called word identification. There's going to be a series of pictures along with words that go with the picture, just right next to it. So the examiner is going to point to the picture and not say anything, but you're going to ask the patient to find the name of the object within these 4 words that are given. So, it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to point to this one and I'm just going to have you find the word next to it that goes with it, that you think it is. Good. Okay. So she selected clock. It is a picture of a clock. So she would get a point for that one. Okay. The next subtest is called lexical decision. So which words of these, or which one of these 3 words do you believe is the actual English word? Good. Okay, let's move down to this next one. Which of these 3 words is the real English word? Good. Okay, the next subtest under reading is phonics. This one is homophone matching. So the patient is just asked to find which of the 4 words right here match this target word. Good. So for this, the target word is male. And down here, this word is male spelled M-A-L-E. Down here is weight. And she pointed to weight as in W-A-I-T, whereas this one is W-E-I-G-H-T. So just different spelling of the same word. So, all right, here we have a bunch of words for you. I'm just going to have you go down one at a time, reading each of these words for me.
chair, circle, hammock, purple, 15, triangle, 721, brown, dripping, smoking.
Good. So the scoring for this is gonna be based on the amount of time that it took the client to respond. So if it took her 0 to 3 seconds to respond after reading it, she would receive 3 points. If it took her 3 to 10 seconds, she would receive 2 points. Okay, the next one is oral reading of sentences with comprehension. This is where the patient is told to read these sentences aloud that are on our book here. And the examiner will just be recording verbatim what the client is saying. The whole sentence must be read without any errors to receive credit. So we're gonna have you just go ahead and start at the top here with number 1 and just read these sentences in order for me while I write down what you're saying. All right.
Summertime. A good beach day. Gym pack lunch.
Good. Okay. So for that, she got the first 2 sentences correctly. And then for the third one, there were a couple words that were missed. So for that one, there would not be credit received, but either way, you're still going to write down their responses for all of them. Okay, the next one is going to be comprehension. This is where the patient is just going to read the sentence and then complete it. They're going to do it on their own. So she's going to read the sentence that's written on here. Again, just kind of one at a time. So we'll start at the top. She'll read the sentence and then fill it in with the word that she thinks completes the sentence the best. Okay, so you want to read this sentence for me, starting right here.
The weather was
And
sunny.
Good. So out of the 4 words that are listed at the bottom, they'll pick which one corresponds the best. And if based on the scoring, this will just be based on the correct responses. Okay, let's do the next one too.
Mary and Jim rode in a car.
Good. So the oral reading of sentences with comprehension portion that we did before, where she just read the sentences, like summertime, a good beach day, those are gonna correspond with the next subtest that we just did, the comprehension one, where she was to fill in the blank. So she was supposed to like remember the responses from the first thing she read and then use them to answer the questions. So for when she said summertime on the other subtest, she's supposed to remember to fill in the weather was sunny for blank, almost like a story that I was kind of reading. So Mary and Jim rode in a boat. She answered car. The correct response would have been boat. So the correct responses are based on the previous subtest. So this one is also reading comprehension with sentences and paragraphs. So it starts out with like smaller sentences and then kind of works up to larger paragraphs. The difference between this one and the previous one we just did is there's no correlation between reading like just the sentences and then answering fill in the blanks based on the previous one. So this one is just fill in the blanks. So the first one here, just read this sentence for me, and then you're gonna fill it in with the response that you think fills the sentence the best.
Dog can.
Good. Here, now we are on to the 5th part of the test called the writing portion. This is gonna be the mechanics of writing. So, and you are scoring this based on the well-formedness of the letters. So how it all looks. If it's like completely like you can't read it at all, you're just gonna give that a 0. If there's the correctness of letter choice, that's on a rating of from 0 to 3, and then the motor facility, if it's impaired or not, any failure of motor control, things like that you might notice. So okay, now we are going to assess your writing. So first I'm gonna have you write your signature for me, however you like to write it. Okay, and then next I'm gonna have you write your printed name for me. We have her signature at the top here and then her written name below. So then the examiner would just assess all of the letters and score it based on how everything looks on there. portion of the writing assessment is gonna be just basic encoding skills based on dictated words that the examiner gives the client. So just for example, okay, I'm gonna have you write down these words one by one after I say them. Cat, run, go. Okay, good. So then the client will write down each of the words as they are said aloud, and you'll just assess the spelling and. Okay, next you're going to go back to the stimulus book, and there's going to be a series of different pictures on all of these cards, and so the examiner is just going to point to each picture and then ask the client to write it. So let's start with and these are broken up into different categories too. So there's an objects category, actions, and animals. Each one is scored separately. Okay, you know what this is. How do you write it? Okay, good. Okay, and the very last portion of this test for the written part is the narrative writing portion, where you go back to this first cookie theft picture that we saw earlier, and you just ask the client to look at this picture and write down as much as they can about what they see and what's going on in the picture. You're assessing the mechanics, so how well it's formed, legible, all that. And then you're assessing written vocabulary access. So if it's adequate, if there's some important words that might be missing, fewer than 8 important words, things like that. The syntax, you're looking to see if it's fully correct. Some defects in sentence structure, seeing some causal groupings, no word groupings, things like that. And then you're checking the adequacy of the content. So if it's relevant information, incomplete, minimal relevant information, no relevant information, and then you're just scoring it based on that. And that is all. Thank you guys.